Okay. Hello, everyone. I've got a lot of experimenting to do today. I hope you like experimenting with pearlescent pigments, powders, and paints? Pigments, powders, and paints. There you go. Wanted to make sure I stayed on that alliteration train. I spent way too much money buying way too many products. It's one of those things where I spent so much time making these dagger and sword that I'm working on. Hey, calm down. Calm down, buddy. Nope. Okay. Right. I spent so much time sculpting these things that I'm like, oh man, I want the finish to be absolutely like 100% perfect, to where, you know, to respect the amount of time that I've invested in this. And as a result, I invested way too much money in trying to find the perfect solution for exactly what I imagined in my mind. And that's not even accurate either, because I'm somewhat open to where this is going to end up landing. My initial target is Mother of I can do this. I used up my peas for the day, so I have no more peas available. Mother of Pearl. That's my target. Can I achieve that? No, probably not. But I'm going to see how close I can get. So to that end, let's see, I'm gonna actually record this for my YouTube video. Those of you who don't know, I make art tutorials on the YouTube, and many of them are filmed whilst streaming. Okay, so here we go. Look at all this stuff. So I started this initial experiment on this little test piece that I sculpted it so that it has similar convolutions and stuff to what is on the actual sword itself. But let's get a closer look at this. So this was made with these Prismy Fantasy by Pebeo? I don't know. And it has some interesting stuff, but I want to make sure I get exactly what I want. Not just interesting, but exactly. So I went to Joann Fabrics, I went to Amazon, I went to Michael's, and I got everything from these very cheap pearlescent paints to some of these more expensive. These are called interference paints. And then there's a variety of things that are just like powder that you mix into a variety of things. So I've got some Cast Magic, whatever that is. Let's see, and then this is like a made for nails product, but it's essentially, a powder that you rub onto the surface. And then, let's see. Okay, so I have interference and iridescent, and acrylic ink, because why not? I mean, the vast majority of these are essentially a medium of some sort with a powder mixed into it, and the finer the powder, the more the less glitter like you're gonna get, and the more pearlescent, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of the things that look like it's just glitter mixed into paint. Yeah, and so more of these. Some of these say metallic. I'm not like metallic paint and pearlescent paint is pretty much the same idea. It's just finely ground reflective bits mixed into the medium. And then these two versions of this Pebeo. So there's Moon and there's Prisme. and they have slightly different. So this says it's a honeycomb effect. Yeah, no, it's not gonna. You could do it. You could do it, camera. There we go. Okay, honeycomb effect and hammered effect. So anyway, yeah, I've been playing with these. These are the two that I used on this so far. Or no, I'm sorry. I used two honeycombs. I used this golden one and this purpley one, and just kind of mix them together. I want to try mixing them a little bit more. One thing that I really like about this particular stuff is that in the places where I let it, it gets into the cracks and helps like define the edges or the crevices really well, which brings out the shapes in it, right? Yeah, so I think that's a good summary of what I've got cooking. And then additionally, another tact, I'm gonna try, I don't have high hopes for this, but just using this stuff, because this is very close to the look that I want, but it is sheets of plastic, and good luck getting sheets of plastic to like conform perfectly to these shapes. I thought I'd try some heat, I'd try some glue, see what happens, you know? And I made these little test sticks as well. Wow, I cannot hold these test sticks, but I did make them. Yeah, just to see how it works in different lighting conditions and angles, etc., etc. And then this is essentially this, but in a big sheet. Just in case I can actually, like, if the heat works, which I doubt it will, but if I could heat it up and conform it to the thing, then maybe I can put an entire sheet over the whole thing, heat gun it, and have it like shrink wrap. Again, very little chance of that working, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay. So I think I'm gonna start. Let's organize these by the cheap stuff first. So we're gonna do the things that I think are unlikely to work, or probably just because they're cheap. I assume that the fineness of the granules is going to be not what I am hoping for. And I'm guessing the more expensive ones will be a little closer. I just have no idea. These guys over here. And then finally our powders off over there. Okay. Cool. And then I just need to make sure that I'm recording carefully which I'm actually trying. So I think to that end, I'll just go ahead and pre-mark these out. So let's start with folk art. Just folk art pearl. Okay. Hopefully I've got enough room on this to actually use all of them. Top notch. Metallic. Craft Smart metallic. This one is actually white pearl. This one is folk art iridescent green violet. And then we'll finish this off with the folk art flash iridescent blue violet. Okay, got our plan for that one. Now we'll try this one. What is this? Whole bean. Acrylic ink, pearl white, golden, interference, blue. Interference gold. Iridescent pearl. And then finally, I can't even read that. Is that jaguar? We'll just call it pinata. Okay. Now, I think for these guys, well, these two in particular, these are just mixed, going to be mixed into a my medium. I wish I had, I feel like I have a gloss medium somewhere, but I don't know where. Okay, so did spade. And this stuff really needs a white base to actually, because you like brush it over a thing. So I guess what I can do is I'll just paint it white. And then powder up, what is this? Holographic nail powder. Okay. And so we've already experimented with just this and these two mixed. I have not experimented with this Fantasy Moon. Let's see what that's all about.
Streaming for work?
Kind of.
Okay. Can I ask you questions about marketing ideas for a song?
Sure.
Okay. You know that song, like the "Punch Me in My Face" song? Yeah. Give me some ideas that are realistically feasible within this area that I could do. That are like attention grabbing. Like I already did the dumping gasoline on myself.
Oh.
So I guess the next logical step would be to light myself on fire, but I prefer not to do
You
that.
should definitely light yourself on
Yeah, I should
fire.
light myself on
Highly
fire.
recommend that.
That's a good one. I would carry a gas can out to those power line trails, but I'm worried someone will see that and be like, "Oh, better call the cops now."
Could happen.
It could happen, yeah.
But then, if they show up, you can just explain what you're doing, and you probably won't be arrested or shot.
I am white.
Yep. What is this? See, I looked at this box and I was like, ah, that could be a thing, but now I'm not sure what color that actually is. Yeah, I kind of just want to mess with all of these, just see what they look like. Hey Shane, one thing you could do is have different people pretend to punch you and just do a compilation.
Just people punching me?
Yeah.
I was thinking of that.
Like walk up to them on the street and give them $1 and
Punch me in the face?
Yeah. You probably want to stick to people you actually know, but
Yeah.
People watching the video want to know.
Generally do it. Is that a trend you've seen, or did you just come up with that?
Just a thought.
Okay, because that's like an actual trend on TikTok right now.
Oh, is it?
Walk up to people on the street and ask them to do plank. Like, hey, is this song trash or fire? That's one of them. I was thinking shove this inside of the gas can. There's no actual gas. There was no gas in there. It's
right.
Completely empty. But I don't know. Would you mind if I tried that?
It might melt through it, but you could try.
That would be entertaining, though.
Unless it causes a fire.
I mean, it's inside of a jug.
Yeah, but it could, if it started to melt through or sparks came out the top, you dropped it, etc. So I'm just gonna say this is.
I think the dollar thing's a good idea. I'm gonna find friends.
Yeah, make some friends first. Other moon. Okay. Cool. Might as well start with the moon. The curly stuff on the back sculpting clay. Yeah, this is specifically epoxy clay. This container used to have epoxy sculpt in it. Now it contains epoxy clay. They're very similar products. Just a two-part epoxy you mix together. It's like green stuff or other epoxy clays. Oh, boy, you sure are. That is very out of focus. Sorry about that.
I don't know what y'all think, but I think that's pretty.
to give us a little bit of a mix in between. Excessive with it here. Crows outside left a greeting for me. I know Heather was saying one left a giant poop on our porch. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Oh, I did not hear the caw-caw-caw. I mean, I probably heard it, but I did not consciously absorb it. Not tuned into it the way Heather is. I think all of these like stronger colors would work a lot better for the look I'm going for if I mix them, like, I don't know, maybe just 10% of this color with the white that I have over here. But it's good to see what they are straight up first and then do my alchemy after I've got a sort of fundamental understanding of what they look like on their own. So we've got that category now. Which one's this? Okay. This one requires a little bit of mixing magic, so let me get something to mix in. Actually thinking, you know what, I'm gonna try this airbrush medium instead of the matte medium, just because I'm afraid that the matte properties are gonna throw off the glisteny bits. Oh, in front of your window. Okay. Yeah, it's really hard to hear into your house through this internet connection. Only need a couple drops, probably. I'm guessing. Let's try the silver bullet first. Let's get a brush for this. Yeah, honestly, I should probably just paint this whole thing white before I do these powder techniques. I mean, they show up all right on this white-ish clay, but it's not super clean white. Of course. Well, let's see if I solve this by mixing up a little bottle. I've got empty bottles around here somewhere. God, this is all now aerosolized all over the place. Great. Where did I put it? There it is. Don't know the actual ratio I should go for, but I'm guessing it's something like this, and we'll see if it is or is not. That gets me a little more of the rainbow. Seeing more of the pinks and blues in there. Depending on the angle I hold it out. Let's see if we can. It's not coming through for the camera. Drat. Always the risk when dealing with effects types of paints. Is that camera's just not going to pick it up and it's just going to look like I'm doing literally nothing. Oh my god. Stuff cannot be good to breathe. Okay, enough of powders for now. Moving over to this Pinata Pearl. Hi, Miniatures Den. How you doing? I don't know this word pulver you're using, Indivies. Yeah, that just kind of looks glittery. Again, not what I'm going for. This one has a lot more body to it, a little more coverage, but it looks like it is also just the same thing. Just as I suspected, 90% of these are just going to be some medium with little particulates in it. Don't know if there's a difference between interference and iridescent. I feel like interference, like what they call that, is basically there's just two different colors of iridescent powder in there. But I'm not sure if that actually makes a difference. I guess it does bring out, it's a little more rich. I'm actually really liking this one. Oh, and I forgot to make sure I'm doing the right one. Interference, gold. Yes, okay. Doing them in the order that I have them laid out. So, I'm safe. So far, I like this one the best. See if the camera will be like, yes, that I can make out. Come on, come on. I know you really want to focus on that thing in the background. It's so tempting. If it's out of direct light, you could see it a little better. A little bit. Just a little bit. I really hate these little plastic seals that golden paints have. I'm sure it helps their shelf life, but it's very annoying to get off quite often. You think after it dries? Maybe. Let's hope so. I wonder if having this purpley blue one next to the gold one will at least elucidate the difference. I know what you're all thinking. Hey Josh, aren't you using the brush wrong? Isn't that... Wait, is that the right side to use a brush with? And indeed, your observation is correct. This is the wrong side to use of a brush. However, it's this or use like 15 brushes for this experiment. And I don't feel like washing 13 brushes. And since this is just an experiment, I'm not worried about the way it's like actually laid on there. Alright, so with that, you can at least see one has a little more of a pinkish color to it, and one is a little more goldish. Oh, look at that. Okay, if I block most of that light, you can see it a little better. You can at least see some sparklies in there. Okay. Got a little bit of a trick. That's nice. And then the final one is this guy, which I have almost no hope for, but we'll see. This is just slightly white paint with pearl bits in it. It's got more coverage than this side, but not enough to make it a serious contender. Okay. Then we are on to our super cheapo products. But you never know. Every once in a while, a super cheapo product will turn out to be awesome. So. Flash iridescent blue violet on this side. Yep. Yeah, it comes out like glue. Yeah, not really seeing anything worthy there. This, I believe, is the same stuff, just with a slightly different tone to it. Seeing anything significant going on there. Let's see if this metallic truly is top-notch, as it claims on the label. It's interesting. Looks almost identical to this Craft Smart right next to it. Okay, one more, and then we're gonna hop back to sculpting. I'm very disappointed. I guess I should have checked beforehand to see if any of this would actually show up on the camera. I apologize. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe when it's dry, I'll find the right lighting. should do while I've got all this out is go ahead and put some white. So we've got some better white on these. I think we'll get a better indication of which powders work best. Okay. Cool-ish. I mean, not at all, but done. Let's do something cool now. Oh, here's something I could try that probably will be picked up on the camera now that I think about it. Wanted to try this technique. Where'd my bag go? Here it is. What I want is Mod Podge. Here we go. Quick sec. Cover your ears. I'm gonna clap. Okay. Uncover your ears now. You survived. You passed my clap test. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Alright. What I'm thinking could be a cool thing. Is to put some glue down. Too tired to cover your ears? Oh, sorry for your ear loss. This is a real test of how far I could push this, given the dimensionality of this. This is a little bit thicker than I had hoped it would be. Yeah, that is not good. That is not going to conform at all. Okay. Well, boo to that idea. Let's see if this cellophane is any thinner. You didn't lose any ears? Oh, thank goodness. It's like a tiny bit thinner. Yeah, I'll just be curious to see how this ends up after it dries. If there was like a tissue paper that had this iridescent quality, that would be amazing. I don't think such a thing exists. Got these neat effects I've got going on here though. Yeah, they just kind of make that spotty, cellular look sort of thing. I don't know if it's what I want, but you know, I've got it. Let's just find out. Okay. Oh, there was another thing that I wanted to try. And that was to see if I could fix my plexiglass blade. Okay. What? So here's what's going on. I did a little research and I think I found out why this is happening. My clear sword here, which my fancy sculpted handles wrap around. So I did some research on plexiglass and discovered that plexiglass will actually break down if it gets alcohol on it, which that's a weird thing. Never would have expected that. And so I'm thinking what happened, because this was like pristine before I started doing all this sculpting and stuff on it. And then as I was going, you would think that I was like bumping it into things and smashing it around because it keeps getting all these little cracks and fractures. And then finally this little chunk broke off. And so what I'm thinking is that this safety solvent that I've been using to smooth the clay as I work, I'm betting drops of it were getting on there as I was rubbing it around and stuff, and there must be a little bit of alcohol in it or something. So anyway, I want to fix this, and I thought a possible way to do that is to use some UV resin, but I need to try to color match it. And so to do that, let's see, grab another I've got these transparent resin dyes. So I think that these will mix with this just fine. We're gonna find out. Let's see. Because this stuff sets with UV light, as soon as you get it out, because there's just ambient UV light generally around, not a ton of it, but it'll start to set up. So it's best to have everything prepped and ready to go before you pour it out. So trying to color match this sort of greeny blue, I have no idea how close I'm gonna get. One of the problems is that this pigment tends to go a long way. So I think what I'm gonna do is just put a itty bitty dab of it. Oh, that's more than I wanted. But let's see if I can get a color close to the glass. And then I'm guessing I need just like a teeny tiny drop of that added to the resin. Yeah, so that's probably a little too blue. Full drop of yellow, see what that does. Not sure. Okay. It's actually feeling pretty darn close. So, but before I do it on that main section, I do have this little area down here where I cut off this bit, where I can add to it and it'll be hidden. So I can do this as my first test. Down a bit. Oops. That should stop that drip in its tracks. I would not be surprised if I find out that UV actually causes degradation of plexiglass as well. So that does look like in that drop it is too opaque. The color is a little too opaque compared to the rest. So I'm glad I tested it there. But yeah, I think I've got a pretty good idea for the ratio that I want of yellow to blue. Now I've got to see if I can get the ratio of colorant to UV resin correct. Sound syncing again. Cover your ears, everyone. What do we got going on? Oh, tea time with Taryn. Yo. What's up? What's up? Probably don't need more than that. I'll give you a little bit of context what I'm working on here. So I am making these sword and dagger set from a set of stories that I'm working on. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, right, so here is a scimitar type thing. And it's made by these sea people who can excrete essentially pliable resin, and then it sets up over time so people can use it to make cool devices like such as weapons. They don't make all weapons out of it, but that's one of the things they make. And then here's the little dagger buddy that goes with it. And I'm sculpting this part out of epoxy clay. This stuff. The blade itself is made out of plexiglass, just cut to shape and then sanded down into a vaguely blade-ish type of edge. And one thing that I found is problem with plexiglass is that it is not super compatible with the I think with this solvent that I've been using on the clay to smooth out the clay. So it's been cracking and shattering and stuff essentially. So I'm trying to find a way to fill and fix these areas. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get rid of all the little inclusions that you see in there, those cracks and stuff. I'm kind of okay with that, but you know, because this is supposed to be a handmade thing in a pre-industrial society, so it's fine that it's not perfect, but I'd rather not have big chunks out of it. Yeah, for everyone's reference, this is the story I'm talking about. Well, it's not this specific story, it's this franchise, the Tales from Talifar. We've got 2 books out in the series. It's on Amazon. You could check it out if you like fantasy adventure stuff. It's full of illustrations that I've made for these creatures and characters. These are the underwater guys that do the that make these weapons. All right, so I am in the middle of trying to mix some of this resin as close to a color match as possible to the existing plexiglass. Very chill, yes. Generally they actually are, but you know, you don't want to rile them up. Best practice is not to rile up a Varon. They could snap you in half if they wanted to. Oh shoot, I just realized I was using a thing that had little pearlescent bits on it, although it seems like that part's dry, so the pearl bits aren't getting into it. That's good. Either way, this is a good excuse for me to do a second test before going on to the final thing that I was going to do. Okay, so test number 2. Test number 1 we just did and demonstrated that the color is a little too opaque, the amount of color we had mixed into it. So trying to mix more resin into it. Now I am starting to see the pearlescent bits in there. That's okay for this test. It is pretty, isn't it? Yeah, definitely closer. Okay. I think I'm confident enough that I have it dialed in close enough that the next one I can just apply directly. What I'm thinking, actually, let's go ahead and nuke this bit, and then I could just use this cup to mix my dyes, and then I'll just do a little dip. Aw, dip, as Donkey Doug would say. Yeah, I've been experimenting with pearlescent colors for the handle. This was what we were experimenting with earlier. It's really hard to pick up on the camera with the lighting. I've been doing different tests with different pearlescent paints, so. The idea is the handle is made out of a different, the substance is actually called pearlescence in my stories. And so the blade is made through a process, like depending on what the Varons eat and the environment that they're in, you know, the salinity of the water, other impurities and stuff like that will change the characteristics of the pearlescence that they create. And so, you know, one Varon would make the blade part and another Varon would make the handle part. Just a little. Feels about right to me. And what I can do is sort of build it up on here. I'm gonna have to, you know, grind it down after I patch it for sure, but, you know, might as well get it as close to the shape as I can to start. twisting this big awkward blade around to get the drip to go the right way, whilst avoiding the cameras. It's tricky. Don't stare right into the UV light, you guys. It's bad for your eyes. But my understanding is it's just fine for your ears, so don't worry about your ears in that case. I think I can kind of slice it down with an X-Acto blade. Let's get a fresh one. You know, one thing I'm not sure about is if the UV cure is like at 100% effective immediately, like at, you know, when it's cured, is it cured at 100% or does it solidify more over time? The rest of this I'll just grind down with a belt sander. But yeah, it's too early to say until I grind it down, but I feel like that's a pretty good patch job. We'll see. We'll see. This eye hole I left in here is a functional thing, because you can imagine if you're using weapons underwater, dropping them is a real pain. So I can imagine that they would want little hooks and loops that they could basically tie stuff to themselves, you know, not super tight, but enough that if it accidentally drop it, it can like dangle. Would still have some pros and cons and risks to it, but I figure that's better than losing a super valuable weapon. Interesting. Does not bond 100% perfectly well. Good to know. Mostly done with sculpting this handle. I haven't done this part yet, so it's a little bit rough still. Still working on getting the flow lines and the symmetry on these things really nice. And one of the best ways to do that is with sanding. Got these little drops of UV resin on my desk, and I don't want to be smearing that around. So I've been slowly building up this sculpture in layers, more or less, for the past couple of weeks. Every time I add a layer, I have to go in and do this sort of sanding down. I'm trying to make sure all the lines have a nice smooth flow from every angle. Like sometimes it'll be very smooth from this side, and then you'll rotate it this way and see, oh, there's like a little dip there that I'm not happy with. And so it's nice to have it like all set in place so that you can do that without wrecking other parts that you're holding. That's why I really like using epoxy clay, because it's set up super hard and yet still sandable and carvable. Liquid Nebula, welcome. Thanks for the raid. Get a belly on this beast real quick, like. Quick-ish, like. Epoxy clay, very simple, 50-50-ish mix, does the trick. I've never run into a problem eyeballing it. So this is, it's not air dry, it is a curing resin. It's just a 2-part resin, you mix it together, and then you have about an hour, hour and a half to work with it before it sets up pretty hard. And then like the next, like after that first hour or so, there's about a 5-hour period where you can carve it really easily, but it's hard enough where you're not gonna accidentally distort it by holding it. So it's got a lot of really fun properties like that. So I need to mix a little bit more. Just a touch. By the by, if you're interested in learning how to use this material well, I have a YouTube video about it on my YouTube channel, which you can find at Josh Foreman. Thank you, Quindy. And it looks like we're about at time, so let's go ahead and raid someone else. And I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for hanging. Again, if you like fantasy adventure novels, please check out the link for my fantasy adventure novels. And if you want to learn about art, check out my link for my YouTube channel. If you want to learn the art of fighting without fighting, I can't help you with that one. You're gonna have to check out Bruce Lee for that. All right, everyone, have a good one. Be sure to check out Reaper Live, 6 p.m. Central, you guys. Bye.